Let me tell you about the red and black determination quilt that I made for my daughter in the book that it inspired me to create. Welcome to Quilting Color. My name is Shalina. I worked in a lot of different crafts throughout the years, and when I started making quilts, that was the first time that my family became really excited about my crafts and they wanted one for themselves. I decided that I was going to make a quilt for each of my family members, all 10 of them. And basically the way I decided to work on it was based on birthday. So when I was ready to make a quilt, I would see whose birthday was coming up next, and that was the person who would get the next quilt. That kept it fair, and that made it nice and easy for me because I didn't have to choose what order to make the quilts. Then one day it was time for my daughter's quilt. Because I wanted to make sure that it was personalized and something that would fit her needs, I asked her what kind of quilt she wanted, and she wanted a bed quilt that had a very heavy batting so that it would be warm. And also she asked for a red and black quilt. I thought that would be fairly easy enough to make. Red and black are basic colors. And so I went off to Joann's to find the fabric for her. But the fabric was not on sale, for one thing, so I would have to pay full price for it. And I didn't find any reds that I really liked. They had a lot of like maroon type reds and orange type reds, but they didn't really have the red that I wanted to get for this quilt. I wanted something that really said red, something more scarlet. And so I decided that because this was the only quilt that she was going to get, I want to make something that is right for her. And so I went to the local quilt shop to see if they could help me. And they did. They had a really nice line of fabric that was the right color for me. They also did not have the fabric on sale, so I did buy the fabric from them. Because usually I buy fabric that's on sale at the local box store, and here it is, I'm buying fabric at a quilt shop and it's not even on sale. The other thing that stands out to me about this quilt is that I chose an improv kind of a block design. I had just gotten this book called Cut Loose Quilts by Jen Mullins, and she showed how to make improv pieced blocks. So I used the improv pieced blocks. When the quilt was finished, I would go around to everybody to tell them, hey, look, I know how to make stars, but this is improv. It's supposed to look like this. I wanted to make sure that everybody knew that it wasn't a mistake that I was making, that I deliberately made the stars crooked like this. And that was something that I hadn't seen very much. I didn't really know that much about improv quilts, so it was something that I felt like I had to tell everybody. So I made the quilt blocks. I put it together. I quilted it on my domestic sewing machine. It was a lot of work to try to maneuver this big quilt into this little tiny space, but I managed to do it. And I wound up binding the quilt right before midnight. My daughter had gone to sleep by then. I just draped it over her so that I could say that I gave it to her on her birthday, and she just woke up with it, and so there wasn't really a big presentation of the quilt to her. This quilt was a twin size quilt with the high loft batting, so it was really difficult for me to wrestle it through my domestic sewing machine, especially since I didn't have a lot of practice with making quilts anyway. So those were the three things that I remembered about this quilt. One, that it's made with red and black, which is the colors that my daughter chose. That it was one of the most expensive quilts that I've ever made, and so it has a higher status than the other quilts that I've ever made. The other thing is that it uses the stars pattern. It uses an improv pattern that I wanted to make sure everybody knew that this was normal, and I did this on purpose. The third thing that really stands out to me about this, when I was quilting the quilt and trying to figure out what kind of designs to put on it, there was a book that had African quilting designs. The symbol that was simple enough for me to sew on a quilt as a beginner quilter. It's an African symbol that means determination. I don't remember which culture it's from, actually. I wound up using this design on another quilt, not this one. But the fact that it says determination really made me think about my wishes for my daughter, and that really made me think about the legacy that I want to leave for her, and to show the wishes that I have for her future as she becomes independent. And so those three things, the expense, the improv design, and the wishes for my daughter, I wanted to make sure that I documented those three things. So I prepared a quilt journal for that, so I could write down those things and record all that for my daughter as she grows up. And it's a really good thing that I did. The last holiday season, we had a family gathering and we talked about this quilt. The only thing that my daughter remembers is that she chose the red and black colors for this quilt. And I'm sure if we asked for it, she could think about other things to say about it, that she knows that I made it, that maybe she remembers that I made it for her birthday. I don't know. But those are details that I don't know if she even remembered them, but those are not details that she passed on when I asked her what she remembered about the quilt. And I asked another family member, and they didn't remember anything about the quilt. They didn't even know that it existed. And mostly that was because it wasn't presented to her at a family gathering. It was presented to her directly at our house. And so I'm really glad that I had made this quilt journal so that there is some kind of documentation that can go along with the quilt. And now when I'm reading back over it, there's a lot of things that are in this book that I just did not remember. I did not remember that I used triangle paper to make those half square triangles. I didn't even remember that I made the design by myself. I thought that I had gotten it from the book, because I kept remembering the book, but the book is how I learned how to make those stars. I just incorporated the stars design into a quilt that I designed myself. The border that's on the quilt itself did take inspiration from that book, Quilt Inspirations from Africa. The border itself is pieced using an improv fashion to use the scraps that are left over from the quilt. And there's some drawings in the booklet where I made my layout choices. And I'm also glad that I wrote this information in a book, because I had forgotten that I had given this quilt to her on her birthday at night and didn't actually present it to her while she was awake. And because I like that quilt journal so much, I'm really happy that I documented a story of this quilt in a quilt journal. And so what I did was I created another quilt journal. This is an official one that's printed. Let me show you the inside. It has a lot of space to write the story of the quilt. It's got check boxes and lots of room for pictures. I'm looking forward to documenting the rest of my quilts using this quilt journal. And I've also made it available for you so that you can document the journey of your quilt. I've seen other quilt journals that document the journey of a quilter and plans for making particular quilts. That's usually about a lot of quilts, and this one is specific to one quilt. This book is meant to go with the quilt itself. I just happen to have it now so that I can show it to you. So let's look at the original quilt journal that I made. This one I made specifically for this quilt. This is for the determination quilt that I made for my daughter. So the quilt journal is only about this specific quilt, although other quilts are mentioned in here. And I wanted to make a quilt journal that documents the history of the quilt. I really have an interest in genealogy, and I know that sometimes it helps to write everything down, because usually you forget things from time to time, and it really helps to think through how I want it to be remembered and how I want the quilt to be remembered. And I'd rather use my own words rather than use having people interpret them for me. So here's the book that started it all. I like that it has a copy of the photo right on the front of it. And I made this quilt in 2001. And the first page is this vital statistics that gives you a quick snapshot summary of what the whole quilt is about, so that people know what this book is about. Then there was a page for the decisions that I made about the particular pattern and the fabric and the size and the things like that. Then I added some sketches where I was deciding how to make this quilt exactly. And then some information about the works in progress. And then there's a time log. Now this time log is a little bit different because I didn't even start the time log until after I was finished with the quilt. So what I did was I just added some estimates for total hours of how much I spent doing each of these tasks, just to give a general idea about how long this quilt took to make. This one is really funny here. It's a 3 hours of stuffing quilt in a tiny space and machine to quilt. Took many breaks here. So it took approximately 16 to 20 hours to make this quilt. And then as I was writing this particular book, I just made a list of questions here that I could add to put in this free space. For the new book, I provided space for you to answer all of these questions so that there's space for you. It's more of a prompting. It gives you more prompts and gives you more space to make sure you have space to write everything. And then here there's a space for a biography because I think it's important to document the quilter who made it. This is something that's very important to me. As a genealogist, sometimes it's really hard to find any information about a person and you have to pretty much guess. You pretty much have to make educated guesses based on what little information that you can find about them. This is a space for you to document it with your own words, your biography, and explain your situation. This page is other quilts that are made by the quilter. This one I do want to make sure that I document. I think it helps to know how much experience you already have. So I just listed like the bigger quilts. I don't think I listed every single quilt that I made. I have not listed the small doll quilts that I made, but I did list the ones that I thought were important to note. You can see the Storm at Sea was my very first quilt. And because I hadn't made that many quilts at that time, I just used that extra space to put in another picture of a work in progress. And then this section here is a quilt history. I wanted a space to document anything else that happened to the quilt after it was made. So it includes spaces for appraisals or showings, any awards, any damage or repair that happened to it, if you took it on a trip somewhere, anything basically that adds to the history of the quilt. So I want this to be like an ongoing document that doesn't stop just when the quilt is finished. And then this last part is a title abstract. I had just bought the house. I had bought the house recently enough, and since I had written my biography, I was thinking about the house anyway. And since I had written about the biography, I became interested in quilting when I purchased my first house. That I was thinking about the title abstract, which I got when I got the house, which basically a title abstract is a bunch of papers. It's a booklet that's stapled together that shows the progression of the house from one owner to another. And that's what I wanted this part to be, is that shows the progression of the quilt from one person to another. So I gave the quilt to my daughter. Now, since then, I've been thinking more about it as a provenance. Now that I think about quilts more as art instead of blankets, I'm thinking more about provenance, where historians go back and try to recapture the history of a painting from the painter from the painter, through different buyers, all the way to the collector who currently owns it. So this section here represents that, where it shows the quilt moving from one hand to another. And in the book, I added a section that gives you some more pages for the owner to write. So my daughter, if anything happened to the quilt during her possession of it, and so that way, like my daughter, for example, could fill out that section so she could say what she thought about the quilt and what other, anything else that she remembers that maybe I didn't think of, so that she could add her perspective about the quilt. So this is a booklet that started the quilt journal, and here is the actual quilt journal now. This is the keepsake workbook. So here is the quilt journal. It has lots of places for you to add your own photos. It's got the it's got the provenance or title abstract that we talked about in the other book. There's space here for you to add your own photos. I used a really big font, so there's lots of space for you to write. So no matter if you write big or small, you'd have that. And there's lots of white space around it so that you can add other information if I didn't remember to ask a question that you wanted to make sure was answered. There's a section here for, as I said, there's a section here for the quilt keeper. So my daughter would write this section here about her opinion on this quilt. There's more photos. This is the adventures of the quilt that shows any appraisals or showings or awards. This is a list of other quilts that are made by the quilter. This is the biography. There's some genealogy information here that you can fill out if you're giving the quilt to a family member. In a lot of places, I just put check boxes for you just to make it easier for you to just fill them in so you wouldn't have to write all the information in here. Also, since it's been a lot of time since this book was written, there's a lot of questions that were not answered then that make me wonder now. For example, I remember this to be the most expensive quilt that I've ever made, and I wish that I had listed the price on there so then I can compare that to current prices so I can decide whether it's actually was an expensive quilt or whether it was just something that I was feeling because of my financial condition at the time. Here's another place where you have more check boxes to fill out. And some information about how to use the workbook. I would like it to be used by both the quilter who originally created the quilt, but also by other people. So for example, if you wound up getting a quilt, like an heirloom quilt, you could still fill this out and just write in whatever information that you can see and know based on your expertise. It's possible that methods may change over time, and it's also possible that somebody who is not familiar with quilts may not know some of the answers that are very obvious to you. So you could say this is, machine quilted, but somebody who's new and doesn't really know anything about quilts would not necessarily know that. And once I had written out the book, we actually had 5 people who reviewed it for me to make sure that the grammar and all the formatting worked right. And I also thought about other things that we could add to this book to make sure that it's as useful and as complete as possible. And because it's not possible for me to envision every single scenario, I made sure that there was lots of space for you to write anything else that I didn't think to ask. And if you have any suggestions on how to make this book even better, please let me know. I would love it if you got a copy of your own book. And if you like the book, please make sure that you write a review on Amazon. It really does help with the rankings on that platform. Thank you for watching till the end so you could get the whole story of this quilt and book. Just leave a comment with the words "whole story" by April 17th, and I'll give you an entry to win a copy of the book. I hope that you enjoyed the story of my determination quilt and the story of the quilt journal that it inspired. There's a link in the description box and in the pinned comment if you're interested in buying a copy of this book. This video is one of a series of videos where I tell you about each of my quilts, and I have a whole playlist of them now, and I'll put a link to the playlist here in case you want to see the story of my other quilts. Thank you for watching. I appreciate all of your support, and I hope to see you again in the next video.